Today I'm going to talk about some of the books that I've read so far this year. The first one I'm going to talk about is This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in a series which I think is going to be called The Monsters of Verity. That's what it says on the inside cover, but I'm sure I've also heard other names for it. This book is about a town in, I think, a future America. And it's a world where violence literally creates violence. If someone commits a violent crime, then the act of the crime itself creates a monster. There are 3 different kinds of monster, and August Flynn is one of the rarest kind. We also have Kate Harker, who is the daughter of one of the men who controls the city. August, as it happens, is the adopted son of one of the other men who controls the city. It is split into 2 halves. They're constantly fighting to stay in control of their half and maybe try and gain some ground on the other half. Kate just wants to grow up and be taken seriously like her dad. She wants to be tough, but she's been exiled to various boarding schools for the last few years. August, on the other hand, just wants to be a normal kid, really. And then one night, through various things happening, the 2 of them are pushed together and end up finding out secrets about each other. This was a really, really good book. It's really interesting way to look at what makes someone human, and also like consequences for crimes and things like that. It was a really cool book. I really enjoyed it. That's a really bad description, but I would highly recommend this one, and I can't wait for the sequel to come out. The next one I'm going to talk about is Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland. This one I really enjoyed too. This is a young adult novel. It's described as John Green meets Rainbow Rowell in this heartbreaking tale of bittersweet first love. It's about a boy called Henry who falls in love with a girl called Grace when she starts coming to his school. She has a cane, walks with a limp, and dresses in boys' clothes a lot. She's not what Henry ever expected to be the sort of person he would fall in love with. And it turns out that Grace has a lot of secrets, so can they get past that? There's something broken about Grace. Can Henry be the one to fix her? I thought this was really good. I thought both characters are 17, 18 kind of age. They're in their final year of high school in America. They're both written really well for that age of character, I thought, and the high school experience they have seems realistic. I thought they were really interesting characters to read about. I also really liked the direction that the story goes. I think it covers some angles that not all the young adult books do. I think it did something new and different there in a way. There were times when I was really frustrated with Henry because I could see kind of where things were heading, and I felt like he needed to wake up a bit and see that, but at the same time, this is him falling in love for like the first time, so I can understand kind of where he was coming from with things, but yeah, he frustrated me a little bit, but I was really glad with how this book went overall, and again, I highly recommend this one. The next book that I read last week is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. The premise of this book is that 10 people are lured to a little island off the coast of England, and gradually they are all killed off one by one. But there's literally only the 10 of them on the island, so who can it be? Is it one of them? Will the people remaining, as they're being picked off, manage to figure out who it is before everyone's dead? It was a good story. I felt like it took a long time to get to the point. It was most like, you know, in the first couple of chapters what's going to happen, that someone is trying to get rid of them. So I was kind of reading the book to see, can we figure out who it was, and how is this being done? And it was enjoyable to read, and there was a lot of tension. I was a little bit spooked reading the end of it because I was by myself in the house, but it took it a long time to get to the point. It could have been a shorter story, I think. Next, this has been a month for YA, really. I have Our Own Private Universe by Robin Talley. This book just came out the other week. It's about a girl called Aki who knows she's bisexual, even if that's only been in theory so far. Then she goes on a trip to Mexico over the summer to do a kind of service project with her church group, and meets a girl there and they start a relationship. I liked aspects of this book. I didn't like that the characters are 14 and 15, the main characters, and I think my problem with this book was that, for me, reading about a 14-year-old now, they just seem really immature, and they were making what to me seems like silly decisions, and that got a bit frustrating to read. I think it makes sense for them to feel the way they do and act the way they do, given their age and given what they know and their experiences to that point. But for me, reading it, I was tearing my hair out a little bit in places. It was quite frustrating. I do like how this one turns out. It was nice to read a love story that wasn't between a boy and a girl, but I'm passing this on to friends. I'm not keeping this around to reread. The final book I wanted to talk about that I've read so far this year is Not If I See You First by Erik Lindstrom. This is a book about a girl called Parker Grant who is 16, I believe, and she is blind. She's been blind since she was 7. She has rules to help her get through her life and to help other people interact with her. One of them is that there are no second chances if you use her blindness against her. A couple of years ago, a sort of boyfriend did something that she can't forgive. He then went out of her life because he went to a different high school, but now that high school is closed, so the two in the neighbourhood have merged together, and apart from meaning there's a lot of new people at the school, it also means there's some old people who've come back, and that includes the ex-boyfriend. Parker is also learning that after her dad died in the summer, there were some things that he was keeping secret from her. She's basically just growing up a bit over the story. There was a lot of stuff in here about friendships that I really liked, and new relationships, first boyfriends and things. And I don't know if Erik Lindstrom did how much research he did with blind people, if he's close to someone who's blind, but to me it felt like a really good portrayal of what it must be like for someone growing up blind, and I'd be really interested to know if how he came to write that story. I would definitely recommend this book. I finished it with a huge pile of tissues beside me, so I would definitely recommend having the Kleenex close to hand if you do go to read this one. This was, really, really good book. Probably one of my favourites, the ones I've read so far this year. So those are all the books that I wanted to talk about this evening. What have you read so far this year? Let me know in the comments and I will have a new video for you soon. Bye!